I'd rip that off and it would leave me with just the 2 appendage claws on the side. And that would allow me to float this chatterbait super shallow. We're gonna make you guys a better chatterbait fisherman today. We're gonna talk about the Potomac River. We just got done the Toyota series there, and the way that I was catching them, chatterbait, frog, swim jig. I relied super heavy on the chatterbait and the frog though. Overall, the Potomac River probably had 10% of the vegetation that it typically has for any time of the year that I've ever been there. Very lackluster amount of grass. So that meant power fishing like a chatterbait, a spinnerbait, something like that, a swim jig was super popular. I kind of had to put the frog down a lot. Normally I like to go there and just lock the frog in my hand, but we got super dialed into the chatterbait fishing. Colors, weight, the trailer, all that really mattered this week, more than I've really ever seen it matter with chatterbait fishing. So because of the lack of grass, we were throwing these chatterbaits up in 6 inches to a foot of water at times. Typically when you're on the Potomac, the grass is so choked out up shallow that you're fishing it on outside edges, 2 to 4 feet of water, maybe a little bit deeper if the grass is really coming out. And that is when I'm gonna throw the Beast Coast Blade Runner on the back. So this Blade Runner is probably my #1 overall chatterbait trailer. It works great in that, 2 to 6 foot of water. But this week, because we were fishing so shallow, I kind of had to change it up. So I was throwing this a lot too. This is a Strike King Menace. I have it rigged up here on this one, on this chatterbait. And we were throwing 3/8 ounce chatterbait. So we noticed that the 1/2 ounce chatterbait was really digging in the bottom. We weren't catching as many fish as we were on a 3/8 ounce. So the Strike King Menace, what this thing does compared to say the Blade Runner, is the Blade Runner doesn't have as much lift in it. Okay, these legs are kicking on the back of the Menace, and that creates lift on your chatterbait. So when you're throwing a 3/8 ounce chatterbait, you can add a cross style trailer to it, and it's gonna give you even more lift to get it higher in the water column. So I was actually using this, which is the Beast Coast Flippin' Delight, as a flipping bait. Okay, so I was flipping it on Cayuga, catching them there, and then I was flipping it also on the Potomac, and I had these, sitting in the center tackle compartment ready to go. So what this bait does when you rig it on a chatterbait is it creates a ton of lift, even more than the Menace would. Okay, if you compare the bottoms of those 2 baits, this is a much bigger profile and it's going to create much more lift. So anytime that I was fishing in that super shallow water, low tide, anything like that, I was opting to pick up this one right here, chatterbait with the Beast Coast Flippin' Delight on the back of it. Okay, and I'd punch out or I'd rip out the middle part. Okay, so there's a little middle piece right here, 2 little pieces here sticking out. And that would allow me to float this chatterbait super shallow, 6 inches to a foot of water, no problem, and get bites that I was not gonna get if I was to throw, say, this chatterbait trailer, which would, put the bait down in the mud more and maybe not trigger the fish as this bait would. Next up, the Beast Coast Swim Jig. Gorilla Swim Jig. You guys hear me talk about it a lot. This is the color Dirty Money with a green pumpkin trailer on the back. That's a Menace on the back of it as well. Throwing it on straight braid. This was actually 50-pound Power Pro Max Quattro. And then last but not least, the frog rod. Okay, similar setup, 50-pound Max Quattro braid. And this is a Booyah Pad Crasher. This was my frog of choice this week. It seemed like they really liked the white belly frog overall. And 55th place, caught a lot of fish, probably had 20 to 30 bites a day in the tournament. But overall, a really fun week. Learned a lot, kind of got dialed in a little bit better as a chatterbait fisherman, and hopefully the St. Lawrence River goes better.